Okay, good morning. This is Superior 5. I'm Judge Spataro. Did someone from the jail hear me okay?
Yes, sir. We're going to get her now.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning.
Just so you can see my real face.
Oh, that works for me. Thanks, Ms. Keene.
Right.
How are you this morning?
Oh, very well. Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, this is State versus Diana L. Keene. That's 2101 CM21. We've got Ms. Keene appearing by WebEx from the jail. Mr. Barrier, can you hear me? It appears we've got Mr. Barrier as a prosecutor for the state.
Sorry, Your Honor, I forgot that I hadn't unmuted myself and turned on my camera.
No worries. Good morning, Mr. Barrier.
Morning.
Okay. So I'm going to show Mr. Barrier appearing via WebEx. This appears to be an initial hearing. So, Ms. Keene, we've got some obligations to share with you your rights and read to you your charges. Before I do that, can I ask you to raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
What is your full legal name?
Diana Keene. K-E-E-N.
Thank you. And it looks like there's a middle initial of L. What is the middle?
Mother said that's been added to my birth certificate, and my birth certificate has the wrong birthday.
It has the wrong birthday as well as no initial?
Yes, August Swift is my true birthday, Mother said. And
Okay.
my adopted father, my mother's second husband, Dale Keene II.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Do you have a social security number?
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, and do you have a cell phone number where you might be able to get notices from the court about hearings?
No, sir.
Okay, how about an email address?
No, I'm not allowed access to it. I have to make a new one.
Okay, all right, and then what is your current address when you're not incarcerated? And that's Elkhart, Indiana?
Yes, sir.
And what's the zip there?
46516.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So the purpose of this hearing is to inform you of the allegations against you and to tell you what your legal rights are. If you do not understand the charges or your rights, please let me know and I'll explain them more fully. You have certain rights that are guaranteed under the Constitution of the state of Indiana, as well as the United States Constitution. And they are as follows. You have the right to have an attorney represent you during each stage of a criminal case. If you cannot afford one and you qualify, the court is obligated to appoint an attorney to represent you. If you are requesting that the court appoint an attorney to represent you, you should do so as soon as possible. Ms. Keene, do you know what your intentions are regarding an attorney? Do you have the ability to hire?
Royal representatives.
I'm sorry?
I have royal representatives by King William.
Okay. Are they licensed to practice law in the state of Indiana?
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay. What are their names?
He has that information for you.
All right. Well, just in case they can't get here from where they are, would you consider?
They are here.
They are. Where?
They're with members of the United States Supreme Court members. Justices. They're here in Elkhart, Indiana. They do it get pretty bad here for me.
Okay. And ma'am, can you give me one of their names, please?
I just did. King William will inform you who they are.
All right. Well, just in case I don't get properly informed, would you be interested in having an additional lawyer in the form of a public defender?
No.
You don't want any lawyers besides?
No.
All right. Do you understand that if you don't have a lawyer with you that's licensed to practice law, that could really...
I really like, in the unlikely event that King William doesn't give me that information, could you please provide it now?
...really impact your rights in this case?
I'm already aware about the false allegations.
All right.
Of this case.
Okay. Just in case things don't work out as planned, I need to read you certain rights so that we can talk through this issue.
That's okay. You can tell me your role of your play.
Oh, one more time, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Your rule of your play, what kind of judge are you? What's your
Oh, I
name?
am
What's
I
your
am a
name? You're a judge?
my name is Judge Christopher John Spataro.
That's not the name that showed on the screen. Thank you very much.
All right, it might show sub 5 court or something like that, but
No,
in
it's
any
got
event,
a different name. Thank you.
all right. I hear you telling me that you have some royal representatives and that you do not want a public defender appointed to you. Is that right?
That is correct. I asked for one. The one was not provided.
All right, ma'am.
Thank
Do
you
you
very
understand?
much. I don't trust the American system.
I appreciate that. I understand. I want to make sure you understand that you have the right to have an attorney present with you right now at this hearing. Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I don't see
I
anybody present.
requested one. I was not given one, period.
Would you like to re-request one? Because I would honor that
No,
request.
I'm not dragging this on any further.
All right, well, I still need to make
Because
sure that
my
you
rights
understand.
have been violated completely since I've been here. Go on.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
All of them.
Do you understand that if you cannot afford a lawyer, that we can appoint one to you at no expense to you?
No, thank you. I don't trust your system.
All right. Ma'am, do you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, sir. I understand a lot of languages.
All right. What other languages do you understand?
You don't need to know that. Go on. What's your case?
All right. What level of education have you completed, ma'am?
4 college degrees.
And what are your degrees in?
You don't need to know that. Continue with the case. Go on.
All right, ma'am. And you're not a licensed attorney in Indiana, right?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know.
Do you understand the rules of evidence in Indiana?
Rules of evidence. Oh, I think we already got that covered. You're about to get hammered. Go ahead.
All right. Do you understand how to admit evidence in a trial, ma'am?
It's already been admitted to the United States Supreme Court.
Okay.
Justices. Go ahead. Waste your
Do
time.
you know the rules of criminal trial procedure, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I understand.
And how did you come to learn that?
The American system been crooked since I was a little girl. I'm told them this is nothing but a death trap. They all should be shut down. I could have showed you how to make a community a success back then. I'm going to do it after I leave here.
Ma'am, have you ever represented yourself in another criminal proceeding?
Yes, the last 2 fake courts.
Okay, and how did that work out for you?
We're pretty good.
What, do you remember the verdicts?
Yes, 30 days I would be released, no crime. I'm still here, huh? The American
How about
system, huh? The American way, huh?
How about the other system you mentioned? The other case you mentioned?
Royal, well, they're more fair than you guys. Thank you very much. Go on.
All right, well, let me read you your charging information for criminal trespass.
And
The
so
allegation.
City level, no crime, no damage, no violence.
Ms. Keene, let me get through this so that my court reporter doesn't have to type 2 people talking at the same time, okay?
There is no
So-
evidence of that.
Well,
No
the allegation is that on or about December 3rd of 2020, at the County of Elkhart, State of Indiana, one Diana L. Keene, a person who did not have a contractual interest in certain property of another person, to wit, property owned by James Wood, did knowingly enter upon said property after having been denied entry by James Wood or his agent, all of which is contrary to the form of Indiana Code 35-43-2-2, subsection B, subsection 1, contrary to the form of the statute in such cases against the peace and dignity of the state of Indiana. Do you understand the charges against you?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why you've been arrested?
Because I put my feet on the property, but Judge Hendricks proved that that's my property.
And where is Judge Hendricks out of?
At your location.
In Elkhart County?
Yes, sir.
Over
He's
which
proven it
court?
before.
Over which court does he preside?
Superior Court 7.
All right. Ma'am, do you understand that if you were to proceed without a licensed Indiana attorney and or represent yourself,
I asked for one. I did say that.
are you asking for a public
On
defender
the
now?
kiosk, the communication, we're allowed to ask for public defender, attorneys, someone to represent us before the court case. I was not supposed to be put in the court case today by the United States Supreme Court order. I was supposed to be released, period. Because all my rights have been violated, been raped, bodily harm, etc.
All right, ma'am. Well, what I'm going to do now, notwithstanding your request to either have the Royal Army represent you or to represent yourself,
Our royal law officials.
I am going to,
Okay, we're going along here. I'm torn at this point. Clearly, we need a competency evaluation, but she's saying some stuff that suggestive of soft sit things, and I'm interested where she goes with this.
appoint a public defender for you as standby counsel, so that in the event that we have future hearings and your other counsel do not show up, there will at least be someone for you to advise you. I know you don't have a phone number or a pen and take down a phone number, but I'm going to read you one and we can always circle back to it. The public defender's office phone number is 574-523-2305.
We'll
And
be
if you
circling
cannot
back.
recall that, you can always have someone circle back with a court and we can get you in touch with that public defender as
Please.
standby counsel.
Be aware that other law officials saw everything I put in the kiosk. They didn't make the kiosk available, functioning right until yesterday. Good luck.
Ma'am, do you know if the other counsel of which you speak will be filing an appearance in this case so that they'll be of record?
After this is over,
And by this, what do you mean?
they will prevail evidence that I'm a good person, never broke the law.
And when you say again, when this
The
is,
property 1605 Navajo Street is my property.
All right, the record's
okay,
been made.
ma'am.
Let's order the eval.
Ma'am, have you ever been diagnosed as having a mental illness?
No, sir.
Okay.
Have you ever been diagnosed as
getting it.
having an emotional disorder?
No, sir.
All right. I will share with you that I've received a report from the court that there are certain email threats that are being made and some other issues going on that make me question your competency to stand trial. In light of that,
Email, what email? No email was sent through to nobody. No threat.
you did not make any threats on anyone at
No,
the
sir.
jail?
No, sir. Never, not no email.
Did you have access to email while you've been
No,
incarcerated?
sir. No, sir.
At
They
least not
blocked.
via email.
They
They didn't
blocked
allow
email?
my kiosk to work authentically till yesterday. I'll threaten people like that.
All right.
Never.
Mm-mm.
Your Honor, for what it's worth, the
Hackers are
state also
forever hackers.
would be moving for a competency evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Barrier. What I'm going to do,
Thank you.
I want to find my list of approved names. There's a gentleman, do you recall? I thought his first name was Joseph, and I'm blanking on Sibylla or something like that.
Blankenship is his true name.
Yeah, and I've used her a lot lately, so I want to give her a break. Yes, give me one moment, see what I could do here. I thought well, the court is going to appoint Melissa Chisholm Buggs and also Joseph Sibylla, subject to me correcting that name, to do an analysis to see, Ms. Keene, if you are competent to stand trial. I have read you your rights. I have read you your charges. Let me just go on with a few more formalities before we part ways.
Don't say how I plead and I'll explain.
Yes. So one other thing is, you do have the right to a speedy, a public and speedy trial by jury. Since this case is a misdemeanor, I need to inform you that you must file a written jury demand at least 10 days prior to your omnibus date. And the
Okay.
omnibus date in your case is Wednesday, April 7th. And your plea bargain deadline date is Wednesday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. Wednesday, June 2nd of 2021 at 9
And
a.m.
am I gonna be released so I can, prepare for this?
No, I don't believe that's going to happen today. Let me complete reading your rights, though. You have the right to have the state of Indiana prove each and every element of the charge or charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to see, hear, confront, and cross-examine any witness that the state of Indiana may call to prove the case against you. You have the subpoena power of the court to compel a witness to testify on your behalf. You also have the right to appeal the decision that is reached in your case to the appellate court or the Supreme Court, as the case may be. However, if you plead guilty, then there may be a limited right of appeal. You also have the right to remain silent. However, if you give up that right, anything that you say can be used against you. Do you understand the rights that I have explained to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you also have the right to know that the state of Indiana has brought against you what I mentioned in the charging information, indicating that on December 3rd, 2020, you did commit criminal trespass. That is
November 6th.
That is a Class A misdemeanor,
November
which
6th,
is
around the rest of it.
punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a fine of up to $5,000. Any questions regarding your rights, the penalties against you, or the charges?
I understand.
Do you have any questions, ma'am?
How does that come about? Is there supposed to be damage, violence, and all that if found guilty?
The penalty, if you're found guilty, is up to 1 year in jail and up to a fine of up to $5,000.
Now, how can I be guilty if there's no damage, no violence?
Well, you're not guilty yet, ma'am. We've had no trial, so I'm just
And
giving
then
you.
what is this called?
This is an initial hearing to advise you of your rights and to
You're in
also,
the courtroom, sir.
yes, to advise you of your rights and to give you
And you have
information
the
about
prosecutor with you.
what's
This
in
is a
charge.
court session. This is a court session.
Correct, ma'am, but it is not a trial.
Yes, it is. You're not a real judge. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Give me 1 moment, ma'am, please.
I'm still torn between flat crazy and soft sit. I
There's
know
other
they're close.
officials listening. Real officials. Now, Daniel, I'm supposing I stole an identity, brother, I loaned him my car, Honda, while I was stationed in Korea. It took him 6 months to tell me that he wrecked the car. And when I got to Louisiana to get my car back, when I came back from being stationed in Korea while in the Army, the people in the restaurant said he ran people over and killed them with my car. So he followed me to Colorado to warn him, don't do that. And then I said, you better turn yourself in. Now this is what the paperwork they showed me on the kiosk, what this court session is all about.
All right, well,
Now,
I'm
when I
going to
was
tell you,
Colorado,
ma'am, I'm going to ask you to, hold on. What I'm going to tell
He
you it's
followed
about,
me, stole my
it's about
car, ran over people again and again, and changed the title of the car. When important people paid for that car for me, because I wouldn't get paid on active duty. Important people paid for that Honda for me to have transportation at that time.
ma'am,
Because I
I'm
had
going
no
to read you the statute.
income.
I'm
I
going to
wouldn't
ask
pay
you to,
all
I'm going
the
to ask
time
you
on
to
active
stop
duty.
speaking about the
That's
irrelevant
stealing the
matters.
car and running people over and killing
Ma'am,
my car. If we use
I'm
for
going
me,
to ask you to
take the
stop
title
speaking of
car.
the irrelevant matters, okay? The criminal
That's the
statute involved here
paperwork they showed me
is
for this court session today.
3543-2-2, section B1, which states
20C
a person
04.
who, not having a contractual interest in the property, knowingly or intentionally enters the real property of another person after having been denied entry by the other person or that person's agent, not having a contractual interest in the property, knowingly or intentionally refuses to leave the real property of another person after having been asked to leave by the other person or the person's agent, accompanies another person in a vehicle with knowledge of the other person knowingly or intentionally is exerting unauthorized control over the vehicle, knowingly or intentionally interferes with the possession or use of the property of another person without the person's consent, or not having a contractual interest in the property, knowingly or intentionally enters the property, commits criminal trespass, a Class A misdemeanor. You understand, ma'am?
Class C.
All right. So we've already given you your dates. I've explained your rights. I'm going to enter a preliminary plea of not guilty for you. It becomes a
Thank you.
formal plea of not guilty in 20 days. There are
The
certain
paperwork they
motions
showed me
and
on the
defenses
kiosk
that must be
was about the
filed within
car.
those 20 days or they're waived. Again, I've
about this
already,
hearing today.
I've already appointed a public defender for you, ma'am, as a standby counsel. What we're going to do now, I'm gonna take a recommendation from the state for holding Ms. Keene at this time.
I did report about the car that the people paid for me here in Elkhart, Indiana, Honda. The paperwork said to me today about this court hearing today. Somebody's trying to flabbergast you and lie to you about this court hearing today. It's about the Honda car. They're trying to sue me for what Daniel killed people with my car.
Yeah, Mr. Barrier, do you have a recommendation for
Colorado Springs,
a bond to be
Colorado.
set here for how we should handle Ms. Keene pending further hearings?
Your Honor, at this time, I think considering
Artificial jail.
her conduct in court, I don't think there's any bond that's going to guarantee her appearance in court again. So the state would, at this time, oppose a bond pending the public defender getting into the case and the evaluation. Yeah, like I said, the state would have to oppose it at this time.
Okay, given the state's opposition and what the court is already thinking, we're gonna have Ms. Keene held at the jail pending future hearings and possible communications with the public defender. That's all we have for today, sir. Appreciate your help.
I said on the paperwork on the kiosk, it's there, postmaster.
Thank you, Ms.
You're in
Keene.
it.
Well, there you have it. That was frustrating and interesting. To this moment, I'm not sure. And this is why you have evaluations. You know, they did the right thing. It's so frustrating because she was clearly in contempt. We see this all the time. The judges don't want to hold somebody in contempt ever if they can avoid it. They hate holding people in contempt, but they do it. But they certainly don't want to do it if the person's not competent. So the poor judge just couldn't even get through the procedure, of course. If we had an evaluation back and it was shown that she was competent, I think it would have held her in contempt right there. No doubt about it. But if she's not, you have the next best thing, which is the prosecutor saying, look, you know, based on her performance here, I don't think she should be let out and just oppose bond altogether. And I think that was the appropriate ask in this circumstance. And it's difficult for me. I certainly know nothing about it, and this is why you have to have an evaluation. She rambled and she went around a lot of stuff, but she was pretty consistent in sort of soft sit theory, which I get is stupid, but not necessarily crazy. The fact that she could adhere to it makes me think that she may actually be competent. And you know, we have a problem with this notion of competence. Competence is just that you appreciate what's going on. Not that your representation of yourself is good. That's a different standard. None of them meet that standard. I mean, not none, but like, you know, 1 in a million pro se's meet that standard. But whether or not she appreciates what's happening is a low standard. So I don't know if I'll ever see it. This was sent to me by Chris. Thank you. I believe this is court in Indiana, and I believe it's the first time I've had court in Indiana. So it's kind of fun. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.